The process capability index is essentially a numerical score. What is it that you're scoring? You're scoring whether a particular process is essentially capable of supporting a particular application. The computations themselves are not that complicated. You can see that in this scenario. Main House Gaming manufactures strategy board games. Okay. These games require playing pieces called game tiles. The production manager has decided to use statistical process control to monitor now notice, monitor the tile cutting machine. This is a process. Not the monitoring, but the tile cutting machine. Oh, anyway, continuing on. According to the firm that built the machine, when in control, oh, maybe I should have saved the ink for that phrase. When in control, the game tile cutter produces round tiles with a standard deviation in the diameter of 0.0 millimeters, which is actually a very, very small amount. But you know what? I want to pull that information out of there because that's going to become important later. Standard deviation, sigma, in process. I'm just copying the information. 1/10 of a millimeter. Most of Main House Gaming's products feature round tiles using 20 millimeter tiles. Okay. Tiles less than 19.5 millimeters or greater than 20.5 millimeters in diameter create problems in packing the game and thus should be rejected. What is the process capability index for the current production of round tiles? Okay, now wait a minute. What we're evaluating here apparently is the tile cutting machine. What the manufacturer of the tile cutting machine told us was the natural variation in cutting tile. When the machine's in control, meaning, when it's well taken care of, it is capable of cutting tile such that the natural wobble in the exact diameter of each tile is reflected in a standard deviation of 1/10 of a millimeter. Okay, 1/10 of a millimeter is a tiny, tiny little amount. Now, what we're told is this is the manufacturer of the tile cutting machine. This is all from the perspective of the tile cutting machine. Okay, from Main House Gaming's perspective, who's bought the tile machine to use to support the design of its products, is that it can tolerate a little bit of variation in these round tiles that are packed in the game, but actually not a lot of variation. They're saying it can't be, if it's a 20 millimeter tile, it can't be more than 0.5 millimeter fatter or 0.5 millimeter thinner. Anything outside of that is going to create problems in packing. Oh, now, you know what? I should have bumped that information out as well. Because what they told us was the upper limit on tile diameter. Uh-oh. Quick. Switch ink. Diameter 20.5 millimeters. All right, so don't make them any wider than that. And the lower limit on tile diameter, 19.5 millimeters. You say, yeah, but what is let's just answer the question and get done with this. What is the process capability index value? That's actually right here. It's just the ratio of the design specification width to the natural width of the process. Why was I recopying these statements up here? Because that gets us the numerator. For this, the tile cutting machine, the design specification width is how much wiggle room we have, so to speak, in between those two numbers. So the numerator here is the 20.5 minus 19.5, or what's that work out to be? It is a specification width of 1 millimeter. Say, well, okay. So what they're saying is that there can be wobble by as much as a millimeter, but be careful, not a millimeter in either direction of 20 millimeters, just a wobble around the 20 millimeters. That's what goes in the numerator. All we need is for this performance score. All we need is a number for the denominator, and you can see that on the note frame, the denominator is already defined, and it says the natural width of the process. Now that's related to what I first grabbed out of the scenario, and that was the standard deviation in the process natural variation, that business about 0.1 millimeters. That's related to the denominator. What is it that we put in the denominator to represent the overall natural width or natural wobble in the process? It's 6 sigma, 6 standard deviations. To capture just about everything that the tile cutter might do on a normal day, we need to capture 6 standard deviations. 6 times sigma, or 6 times 0.1, or what's this work out to be? 1.0 over 0.6? Yeah. You say, all right, well, you know, I put that in my calculator and it says 1.667. Yes. That answers that question right there. First off, it asked, what is the process capability index value for the tile cutting machine? The answer is 1.667. That's how you get that answer. You say, all right, what's that supposed to mean? Well, that actually is a question. It's on the note frame. It says, what does this value indicate? Like, why do you calculate this value? Well, first off, with this value, it's a performance score. Bigger is better. Now, that alone is not going to tell you whether the tile cutter is up to the job supporting Main House Gaming's production. Really what we're looking for, bigger is always better, but really what we're looking for is 1. Not the actual value of 1, that's the benchmark. Because if the process capability index, right, C sub P, is greater, not a Q, a G, greater than 1, the process, and I'm putting it in quotes, is capable of supporting the design. I'll write design here, but it's capable of supporting the design, it's capable of supporting this particular application, it's capable of supporting production. These are all equivalent statements. It's a happy thing, yes. Okay, keep the tile cutter. If not, it is not capable. Thus, this tile cutter is capable of supporting Main House Gaming's production, because its process capability index came in above 1. Now, what if it had not come in above 1? Because, you know, you might be looking at it and saying, well, you know, they've been using it. Of course, why wouldn't it be capable? Hey, they asked. If it had come in below 1, what does this mean? It means they shouldn't be using that machine. That machine is not appropriate for their particular application. It is essentially, if it had come in below 1, not reliable enough in its cutting of tiles. Happily, though, that was not the problem in this particular case.